Hey guys, Jay here, smarthelping.com. We got a little bit of a different type of content I'm doing here today. I'm going to walk through a conversation I had with a client, and it has to do with waterfalls in a certain situation I thought was interesting. Um, and remember, you guys can hire me. Go to the Hire tab at the site for different financial modeling work. So let's get straight to it. So the client came in, they had bought all the templates on the site through the Super Smart Bundle, so they had everything there. And they were looking at a property that they wanted to purchase, and their main goal was to 100% finance it, but the bank didn't want them to use seller financing with the seller to cover their down payment, which had been like an interest-only loan with a bullet at after 5 years or something to get them out. So we were talking about possible things, because then the bank said they could do an LP. So, well, okay, I definitely have GPLP stuff in the joint venture model, so I'll show you the two models we looked at to see what might work and explain some things about how this went. So we had the preferred version 4 with the split on the pref, and then we also looked at the simple interest one. Okay, so first we looked at this one, and the situation was that they could just plug in their cash flows. So the initial amount that would be invested would have been the seller's um, the down payment amount that the buyer, the client, was trying to do, and so the seller would be contributing 100% of that amount as an LP in the project itself, and then as the project has available cash flows, they can be distributed. There can be a preferred return. And then you could choose all these things like compounding or not. If it's if there are unpaid returns, you can reduce equity balance with profit share. Um, so this worked pretty good, but not perfect. And it depends on if you're giving the LP, or in this case, the seller of the property, who's now an LP in the project, equity upside or not. In their case, they wanted to be able to model if they were not, but also if they were. So it's actually had to be two different templates. This one is good if you are giving them upside. And so let's just walk through the most simple scenario. So let's say the LP is going to get 100% of the pref amount. You could split it, but they're going to get up to 100% of the pref. And then they're also going to get 100% of the cash flow until they've been repaid their full equity, and then after that, it's zero. Now zero here, we obviously need to push it through the model, so we'll put like a very small 0.001. Okay, and then let's say here's the cash flows. Let's say it is slightly more than the pref due, so 180, 180. So you've got these cash flows coming in, perfect. So you can see the LPs getting all of that, plus the amount over the pref, so 165, they're getting 180. The amount over that pref is going to repay the equity. So you see here, repayment of equity is happening in this row, and this always ends up being at 1.5 million eventually. And then so every year we reset the pref. Now, if there were no cash flows in year one, you could see the pref is accruing here, and it has to be paid still in this first tier at these cash flow splits until you can move forward to any other cash flows. Now here in year 5, let's say there was a big event, a refi or something, there's a bunch of cash available, so now look what happens. We were able to repay all of the equity of the LP. Here's their total pref, which you can see 899, 836 should match this. Yep, 899, 836. So this is definitely not a loan structure here of what's happening in the legal documentation for how this would work. It's a partnership. But it kind of can work like, to get that last amount, if you don't want to have to put a down payment, you can say, okay, seller, for the 10,000 that I can't get from the bank or whatever, because they're doing maybe they're doing an 80% LTV, so that last 20%. maybe it's 1.5 million, and we're gonna have the seller, basically it'll be an investment by the seller. And this has tax structure and tax implications. It's just different than than a loan. And then so you can see after the equity's been purchased or bought out, after this amount here, then the agreement says, okay, now everything goes to the GP. Okay, so this is useful, but then the client came back and said, well, what happens here in this scenario? Let's just say we have more cash than we need for the pref, and after this pref has been paid for the year to the LP, then they wanted the remainder to go to the operator or the GP, and then every year then we'll switch back. Okay, not switch back, but okay, give the pref, and then anything over that goes to the GP again. Now you could get close to this by doing like a, say, make this 80-20, and so this amount here is split as, and let's say there's still enough here. So this way says up until this pref has been fully paid to the LP, the cash flows are split 80-20. So in that case, you don't have enough to give the LP their full amount here. So we are accruing, and you can see the unpaid amount here, 21,000, should be the difference of this minus this. Oh, we can barely see it. There it is. Yeah, 21,000. So the model will accrue that and compound, and that's why you still get the total calculated pref is 850. Total amount paid to the LP is 850 for that pref. And then the LP's also, or the GP's getting a little bit here as well during this phase. Then when we finally have enough to cover this pref, which is tier 1, is just this amount due, is tier 1 to cover all this. Then we go maybe keep it 80-20 till the equities were paid, and then after that all goes to the LP. So this was another one that was, well, it was close, but it wasn't perfect as far as you know, giving the GP 100% of the cash flows after the initial pref return is covered, and then sometime in the future just paying back the equity. Okay, so this is useful for some things. Now let's jump to the other model. This is the one that fit perfectly with what they wanted originally. So let's just zero out everything here. Let's say you had your initial 1.5 million investment by the LP, which is going to cover the down payment. Let's say this is a 7% return, and we're going to say everything is going to the LP on this, and then afterwards it's zeroed out slightly more than 0, so we can push the model through. Okay, so now what is happening? Well, this is a little bit of a different model, so we can say LP equity repaid. We can actually manually say what that is and when that happens. So we could hit here minus 1.5 million and say, oh, okay, there's when the equity is repaid. Let's say here's available cash flows, 135. Say it's 135. And then here we've got, a big refi, so we know what that amount will be based on whatever model we're plugging data in from. And then the rest of the cash flows are whatever. Just making the numbers up. Okay, so here you could do a pref with multiple hurdles, but basically what's happening is on this investment of 1.5 million, the LP is getting all the cash flows up to 7%. So what does that mean? Well, we've got some logic here for each of the tiers, and if we go down to the bottom, it's easy to see. LP, what are they getting? 105,000, 105, 105. Now, if this were to be 0, some of that unpaid return in year one is now going to be paid whenever there is cash. So this model does accrue unpaid returns. Let's put this back. But here's the trick. 100% of the cash flows beyond this pref for the year, so say it's 105,000 because that's 7% times the investment of 1.5 million, goes right to the GP. So the remainder of 30,000 goes here. It doesn't. There's no other tiers or anything. It's just 30,000, 30,000, 30,000 to the GP, and then the 1.5 million paid back as return of capital because we put that in here. And that, since we did 0% after tier 1, after the 7%, they are out fully. And now you can see they have zero cash flows going in, and the GP is getting the remainder of the cash flows. So they get the 395 because that's a little bit more than what was available to pay them back, and then they're getting all these cash flows here. If some reason the cash flows were higher, say 150,000 in period 2, the LP is still getting the same 105, but now the GP is going to get a little bit more since there's more to distribute. So this model ended up, and I actually haven't worked with clients on this model a lot, but I built it probably at least 4 years ago. But it's useful in this case. And you can see this is kind of like an interest-only loan, but it's not structured as it is. Structured as a partnership with a pref and distribution rates based on certain hurdles being met. Okay, well, I thought that was interesting. Take you guys through some of the conversations I have with actual clients in these models. And if you go back to the website, smarthelping.com, if we go to the joint venture waterfalls, you can see the two templates I just went over are this preferred return 4, and then the last one I went on was, let's see, this preferred return 2. Let me double check actually. Yep, that's preferred return 2. Preferred return 4 is this one. Yep, okay. So if you guys want to play around with those models and use them for deals and what have you, you can check it out. They're under the, if you go to the home page, they're under the joint venture waterfalls tab. Number 2 for the pref return, and number 4. Or you can just buy the whole bundle for $199 and get access. There's a whole bunch of other types of joint venture waterfalls. Or if you want to go to the Super Smart bundle, which a lot of clients will do this, they'll just buy everything on the site, and then if they work with me, there's no limit on what templates we can use to do things with, and it makes it pretty easy. So I've had a lot more people doing that lately. And that does include access to anything I build in the future. You can hire me at $275 an hour. I'm working with PayPal to upgrade this so that there's also a pay or buy now, pay later option, like a 6-month credit, which I think is helpful because I really don't offer invoicing for clients. But if you use the PayPal credit thing, you'll be able to just, obviously pay in installments or whatever over time, which can be helpful for cash flow. And I still get paid when I get paid, and clients get to offset their, you don't have to pay immediately. So I think that'll be useful. I'm hoping I can also, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but here, like on the add to cart, there's just a regular PayPal and then credit card. I'm hoping there's a third option, which is the PayPal, 6-month, credit option that I can integrate into this. But we'll see. I got a meeting with them tomorrow to figure that out. That's everything, I think. I will be building, well, I am building a real estate model right now. Sorry, not a real, well, I guess it's kind of a real estate model, but it's for the car wash industry, for scaling multiple locations. I've had a lot of clients want to do something like that, and I've had a lot of car wash purchases. It was one of the first models I've built like 6 or 7 years ago. So now I'm going to take, all the modeling skills I've gained over the years, and it's going to be pretty awesome. And it will be a scaling model to have You can define the number of new developments and the number of acquisitions, or you could have one or the other, of car washes, and all the different logics for how those work, membership options, car counts, everything like that, variable costs, cash flow planning. And I'll probably attach one or two joint venture waterfall options onto that one as well. And it'll have a full three statement model. So that's what I'm working on this week. And if you want to hire me, I do have pretty good availability within 1 to 2 days of, um, inquiry. And usually jobs take between 1 and 5 hours. Sometimes clients will be on for more than that, maybe a couple hours for many years, a couple hours a month or here and there. That's just a fine arrangement as well. Okay, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And if you like the content, let me know, and I will do more videos where I walk through different scenarios that I have had with clients and the different templates that I offer.